Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is my Finish It Friday video for Friday, June 14th, 2024. So if you want to see what I've been working on this week, please stay tuned. I hope that you guys have had a great creative week in your sewing room. I have had a good week. This week, I thought I was going to really be ambitious and try to complete a quilt in a week, but I didn't worry about it. I did get some good progress done on the graduation quilt, and I started a new project. So we're going to start today by going upstairs so you can check out the Type It quilt, and then we'll come down and I'll tell you what I have going on this week. We're going to start today's video with the Type It quilt. Thank you everybody for your suggestions and encouraging words about this quilt. I'm really happy with how the repair turned out. So it started here with the letter J. And if you didn't see this video, it came out this past week. So I will link it in the description box and in the iCards in the corner so you can check it out. I created this A to cover up where the transfer didn't take and there was kind of a blemish on the quilt. And then when I looked at it all together, I thought that the bottom part here was a little bare because there are no signatures down there. So I decided to add the letter A. And I did have a suggestion to try it in a different font. And I did, but I didn't. So I used my same pattern, except I made the A a little skinnier than it is in the pattern. These letters are my own design, and I just used 2.5-inch squares to make them. And I have a little guidebook that I created for that. I'll link it in the description so that you can check it out in my Etsy shop if you're interested. And for the A, just like for the J, I went into my 2.5-inch squares and pulled out a lot of different fabrics. And then I just interfaced it. And so it's kind of like needle turn applique on the quilt top. My next step is going to be to get this on the long arm. And hopefully within the next week, we can do that and get it popping on the quilting. In addition to working on the Type It quilt, those panels this week, I also got the binding made and I have it here. It is a flange binding. It has the gray on the outside, and then the leftover pieces from the edges of the Type It quilt. I use those and some of the leftover fat quarter strips to make the binding. Now, normally I have it with the really colorful side out, and I'm going to come close, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it. Well, maybe if I hold it this way. But I discovered that as I was getting ready to put it on the quilt, when I had it the other way, I would end up having to pull from the very center to start stitching this on the outside of the quilt. But I'll show you just a little bit of it. You can see the strips that are left over from the quilt top. So it's going to be a really nice project. And then I have decided to go, oh, hold on. I'm going to go grab the backing. I'm going to need about 4 yards of backing fabric, and that works with this darker fabric that most of you said you were kind of rooting for the back of the Type It quilt. So I am going to use this, my current debate, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and get this starched. It is, I think this is exactly 4 yards. I'm going to need like 69 inches by 80 something inches. So it's like practically splitting this in half to do it about 2 yards for each section. So I'll go ahead and press it. I mean, starch it first, probably today. Go ahead and starch it, give it a day or two to dry, and then we'll get the backing done so we can get this quilt up on the long arm. I'm very excited about it. I'm just not sure about the quilting pattern I'm going to use yet. But of course, I will let you know as soon as I figure it out. We'll get this on the long arm, hopefully very, very soon. Now, another project that I do need to hit is these blocks. This is going to be a quilt for my nephew. I got a suggestion last week to turn these blocks on point. So I'm going to be exploring that this week, just kind of seeing what that might look like. Before, when I did that, I actually made each one of these blocks individually on point, but I may explore it turning the whole quilt on point. And so, like, instead of having these giant squares, adding sashing and cornerstones in that on point set, so, or layout. But I'm going to take some time and just kind of explore that. I'm going to lay these blocks out on the floor, see kind of what the size would be, and then how many blocks I need to make, and then consider sashing and cornerstones. And I think that I've never made a quilt like that. I don't think where I had to turn the entire quilt on point. So I did have a Dresden plate, and I turned the individual blocks on point. I'll link that here because it turned out to be this huge quilt. Like, the blocks were 27 inches or something. It was insane. But I just want to turn these blocks on point just to see what happens with that. So definitely join me on the journey. If you have any tips, especially for the setting triangles and the corner triangles, if you have any resources about where I can get some good measurements, I would definitely appreciate that. So be sure to leave those in the comments below the video. Now, I have one more project that I started. Let me see if my book is over here. Of course it's not. I am all over the place today, so I don't know. Doesn't matter. So I but I have an abundance of giant paper. I'm going to show it to you here. It's these huge sheets of paper. These are just some leftovers. I'll tell you about them in an upcoming video. Well, I'll tell you now. These are leftovers from when I make a shirt like this. The prints come on these giant sheets. And we've been making shirts. We had Vacation Bible School this week, so we've been making all these shirts. And so there's all this big paper. And I decided I would take some of that big paper and make a quilt. So my quilt is going to be a string quilt. The first one, this one is going to be 20 blocks. And these blocks are actually 12.5-inch unfinished. So if my 1/4 inch is good, they're going to finish. The quilt will finish at about 12 times 4, 48 by about 60, unless I decide to add borders. So I drew it out here, and it's going to be, I don't know why I'm so interested in rainbows, but it's going to be a rainbow string quilt. And since the block is so big, I decided to go with 2.5-inch strips. So I rated my 2.5-inch strip stash. I rated my scrap bucket, and I've started making blocks. I am going to do a little video series and probably make it a part of Vlogmas in July, because I think that this quilt is going to be so cute. And it's simple, but there's just a lot to think about. So that's coming up in a video, but I do want to show you the blocks that I have. I currently have 6, and I've started 2 more. Maybe I'll get a little bit more work done on them in the next couple days. So this one is a blue and purple. And then here's another blue and purple. Let's keep them on the same direction. And then this one is yellow, green, blue, purple. This one's yellow, green, blue, purple. And I'm kind of making them in color order. So it's pretty neat that way. So when I put them in the quilt, I'll show you a picture of just a little snippet of what the quilt is going to look like. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be so cute. But this is kind of and I shouldn't start a new thing, but I got an idea at 1 o'clock in the morning and I had to start it. So that is what it is. And this one can be a kind of mindless sewing project, even though there are a lot of steps and a lot of things to think about. I think it'll be a great project. Like, even though I have this one to work on, it can be a nice summer thing to work on too. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this upcoming week, we got to get the Type It quilt on the long arm. That will be amazing. I want to get this at least get started on it, get some progress made on it. And of course, I want to work on the string quilt. If there are any commissions that come up, of course they come first. Well, they might come second because we got to get that quilt down to the graduate as soon as possible. But I'm really excited, having so much fun working in the sewing room. It's really rewarding. And I hope, like I said earlier, I hope that you're being creative too. Thank you guys so much for watching the channel. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Also, if you have suggestions for Vlogmas in July, which is coming up starting on July 1st, please let me know that in the comments as well. I would love to come up with some ideas and use your ideas to teach or to share or anything like that. Okay, so just let me know what you think, what you're working on this week, what you're excited about. Please thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching. Bye.